Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 255 for August 2nd, 2022. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, Deshawn Watson finally learns his fate, and Dolphins owner Stephen Ross also gets suspended. In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of the birth of the quarterback play wristband in the NFL. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
Who knew we were going to get two suspensions from the NFL this week?
That one came out just hours ago, and
yeah.
I scrambled to read everything I could, out
of left field that one. I totally forgot what the Dolphins did to deserve this, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, you sent me that because I hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I was working on other stuff. I haven't been looking at my phone or seen any updates, but wow, what a story.
Yep.
All right. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to start north of the border this week. It is Week 8 in the CFL season, starting on Thursday night, where the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeated the Montreal Alouettes 24-17. Hamilton went into the fourth quarter with a 24-6 lead, but it was Montreal clawing back there at the end. And with 8 seconds left in the game and down by 7 points, Montreal backup quarterback Dominic Davis threw a pass to the end zone that was intercepted by Hamilton defensive back Cameron Kelly to end the game as time expired. Montreal quarterback Dane Evans was injured on the previous play and taken out of the game for that final play. Montreal quarterback, they had two quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Three quarterbacks?
Yeah, they actually used three quarterbacks.
I was going to say, dang, we got three quarterbacks here. Montreal quarterback Trevor Harris threw for 288 yards and a touchdown in the game, while Hamilton quarterback Dane Evans is the Hamilton quarterback. You have that as Montreal's quarterback.
I'm sorry.
Terrible script writing all over this section here.
No, Trevor Harris was for Montreal.
No, Dane Evans. You put Montreal quarterback. Dane Evans was injured. That is Hamilton quarterback. Dane Evans. We don't need the Canadians yelling at us, Randy. Goodness gracious, you got to get this stuff straight.
There were so many quarterbacks in this game.
Hamilton quarterback Dane Evans threw for 206 yards and a touchdown prior to getting injured on the previous play.
Yes.
Before the time expired. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Way to go, terrible script writing.
Well, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what happened.
Explain it to me. The script can only do so much.
They were driving down the field. Montreal was
down the field
for the at least tying score, and that was Trevor Harris. No, that was Dane.
Oh my gosh, you can't even explain it right.
That was Dane Evans. Okay, and the next to the last play of the game, he gets injured. Somebody, in fact, they ejected the player. He tackled him pretty hard, and they had to take him out of the game. So for the very last play of the game, they brought in Dominic Davis for one play. And what does he do? He throws an interception at the goal line to end the game.
Okay.
So that's kind of what happened at the end of that game. But yeah, I think Hamilton used three different quarterbacks. They had Dane Evans for most of it, and then they brought in another guy to run some plays. They're down on the 1 yard line. They brought him in to do a quarterback sneak, and then at the end they had Dominic Davis come in for that one play.
Wow.
So they did use three different quarterbacks in that game. Very confusing, but an exciting ending to the game.
Well, you didn't make it any more
for Hamilton fans.
Easy to understand.
I know.
The main point is it was a 24-17 victory for the Tiger Cats.
Yes.
That's the big takeaway here.
Yes.
Sorry, Tim Capper and the Montreal Alouettes. All right, moving on. Let's just get away from that train wreck. Wow, what a way to start this show off. Then on Friday, the British Columbia Lions defeated the Saskatchewan Roughriders 32-17, with Saskatchewan up 17-14 at halftime, but British Columbia shut out the Rough Riders in the second half while scoring 18 unanswered points. Saskatchewan now has lost 3 in a row, while British Columbia snaps an 8-game losing streak to the Rough Riders. British Columbia quarterback Nathan Rourke threw for 336 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. So Rourke at least still performing pretty well. He's becoming a name now in the CFL that at least we're recognizing.
Right.
He's been up there with the I'm trying to think, the McLeod Bethel Thompsons and the
Bo Levi Mitchell.
Bo Levi Mitchell was the one I was trying to think of. And then who's
all the quarterbacks with 3 names up there.
Who's the quarterback for Hamilton that got hurt earlier this year? Or the former Hamilton quarterback that got hurt by the Saskatchewan guy. He played for plays for the Red Blacks now. I can't remember his name, but he used to play for, I want to say Timmy Chang, but it's not Timmy Chang. Jeremiah Masoli, that's who I'm thinking of.
That guy.
Masoli got hurt. He was another name obviously we recognized here, but
okay. This was a good game through about 3 quarters. Even though they got shut out in the second half, they were playing really well, and the score wasn't that bad. But BC just ran away with it at the end.
Yeah, as much as I'm rooting for the Argos this year, I've been kind of secretly pulling for the British Columbia Lions this year. So
you got to like their young Canadian-born quarterback up there.
I do like that team, and the way they kind of put up all those points with
they're tough.
Winnipeg a few weeks ago was pretty impressive. But speaking of Winnipeg, they took on the Calgary Stampeders in a game that I'm sure is going to be seen sometime in the playoffs. We're going to see these two teams come against each other again.
Yep.
But the Blue Bombers got the best of the Stampeders, 35-28. So it was a close one-score game. The Blue Bombers, though, remain unbeaten on the season, continuing their winning ways. The 2-time champions do.
Yep.
But on the other side of the ball, Calgary's Rene Paredes kicked a 53-yard field goal in the second quarter, which was a best for him.
Yep.
He made a total of 5 field goals during that game, which is crazy. That's
misses.
over half of their points. Came from their kicker.
He didn't miss any.
He stayed in the game. That's impressive too. But man, if they could have turned some of those field goals into touchdowns, it would have been a whole different game. But Calgary was up 28-25 with just over 4 minutes left in the game. That's when Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros found rookie wide receiver Dalton Schoen in the end zone to give Winnipeg the lead for good. Collaros threw for 270 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game. While Calgary quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell threw for 219 yards and no touchdowns. But according to you, these were the best highlights of the week.
They were the best highlights of the week. I mean, you got 2 teams, 2 of the best teams in the CFL right now.
I was looking forward to this matchup.
A lot of great plays, wide receivers that, had the ball hit their hands, popped up in the air, and sometimes they were intercepted, sometimes they were almost intercepted by somebody. Just a lot of great highlights from this game. So if you're only going to check out one set this week, check out that set.
That's got to be the one. All right. Then on Sunday, the Ottawa Red Blacks got their first win of the season by defeating the Toronto Argonauts 23-13. The game was tied 13-13 at halftime, but Toronto was shut out in the second half.
Seems to be a pattern.
There's a theme this week. Ottawa quarterback Caleb Evans threw for 286 yards and 2 touchdowns during the game, while quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson of the Argonauts threw for 340 yards and a touchdown in the loss. So
340 yards and didn't win the game.
That's a tough pill to swallow. And then on bye this week, the Edmonton Elks, who will be at British Columbia to play the Lions next week. And looking at the standings through 8 weeks, I can't believe we're 8 weeks into the season. In the East, the Toronto Argonauts, despite the loss, still sitting at the top of the East with a 3-3 record, followed by the 2-5 Hamilton Tiger Cats and Montreal Alouettes. Then the Ottawa Red Blacks at 1-6. So now there are no longer any winless teams in the CFL. And I believe it was last week I asked you what was going to happen first. Was the Red Blacks going to get their first win, or were the Blue Bombers going to get their first loss? And I think I thought we said that Ottawa might be the team to get their first win.
Yeah, they've been playing some good ball. They just haven't won a game yet, so that seemed obvious.
Yeah, but then in the West, you have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at 8-0, followed by the British Columbia Lions at 5-1, whose only loss was to Winnipeg. The Calgary Stampeders now sit at 4-2, with both their losses coming to Winnipeg.
There's another pattern going on here.
And then the Saskatchewan Roughriders sitting at 4-4, followed by the Edmonton Elks at 2-5. All right, we're going to move on to the Indoor Football League playoffs. It was their conference championships this past weekend, and on Friday night saw the number 3 seed Quad City Steamwheelers upset the number 1 Frisco Fighters 48-41. And I'll tell you what, I caught the tail end of this game, and it was dramatic. There was a review towards the end of the game. I guess there was a fumble recovery, and because the quarterback looked like he was about to throw the ball, but the ball came out of his hand for the fighters there. And everybody, the crowd was like, I think they even initially called that it was an incomplete pass. And then the Steamwheelers challenged it and overturned it, and it was a fumble. They said that the ball was leaving his hand. It was not a forward motion. And it allowed the Steamwheelers to get the ball back and claim that victory. So a big upset in the Eastern Finals. Who saw that coming? I know you were pulling for the
I was rooting for the Quad City team, yes, definitely. I wanted to see them make the championship game. Like I said, I've been there to see them play in their home arena in Des Moines. I guess it's Des Moines. I forget. It's just what's the city that's right across the river.
Across the river?
It might not be Des Moines, but it's just in Iowa. And it's I've always had a soft spot for them. I always liked the Steam.
Well, Quad City was such a powerhouse back in the AF2 days, and then they were kind of revived now for the Indoor Football League. I'm not a fan of their logo, the new logo. I used to love the smokestack helmet. It was so unique and so cool. You got the mini helmet sitting behind you somewhere. But hey, great to see a different team go into the finals for a change.
Yeah, this will be good for the IFL, I think, having them in there. Yeah, like you said, Quad City won the first 2 Arena Cups in 2000 and 2001.
And that first season they were undefeated, if I'm not mistaken, 18-0.
Yep.
So, so good to see them kind of back in the spotlight. Pretty neat. And then we're going to move over to the West because we had another upset. Talk about 2 upsets in the indoor football playoffs. As Saturday night, the number 2 ranked Northern Arizona Wranglers upset the number 1 seeded Arizona Rattlers 52-51. Who
by a single point?
Who would have guessed? I mean, we knew these were the 2 best teams probably in the league.
Yeah, they played a few times during the season, and
the Rattlers kind of got the best of them at one point, but the Wranglers were kind of, for a while there, they were the top seeded team there until things shook out there at the end. But after the last season where we talked about the Wranglers,
they were brand new last year.
They were the doormat of the indoor football
awful
league
last year. To turn it around that fast,
turn it around in a year and go to the championship game is awesome. And to have 2 teams between the Wranglers and now the Steamwheelers, in the championship game, who would have guessed? Playing in Vegas. I
totally expected Frisco and Arizona to be going, but I like the Quad City Northern Arizona matchup.
I like this matchup. I think I'm going to be rooting for the Wranglers after. I think I figured you'd be more of a Steamwheelers guy, but I'm going to pull for the Wranglers just because they were the worst team last year. So to turn it around like that, good for them.
Yeah, I like a lot to like about both of these teams. So
So that sets up the August 13th matchup between the Steamwheelers and Wranglers in Las Vegas. Boy, oh boy, 11 days from now. I can't believe we're going to be waiting that long to talk about the indoor champion. But, hey, that's how these things go.
Well, you're going to be waiting the same amount of time for the National Arena League Championship game, too, because that's on the same night as the IFL game.
Well, let's switch over to the National Arena League, who had their semifinals this past weekend, which saw the Albany Empire on Saturday defeat the Jacksonville Sharks 68-67. What a heck of a final score that was.
Another 1-point game. There's a pattern going on here.
I'm tired of patterns already. But, I mean, congratulations to the Empire. They're a team that we've been fond of.
Oh, yeah.
But the Empire returning to the National Arena League Championship game for the 2nd year in a row. And on the other side, on Saturday night, the Carolina Cobras bested the Columbus Lions 65-51. So instead of the Lions making it back to the title game there, it is the Cobras. So this sets up a very interesting matchup. And as much as I've been rooting for the Empire, the Cobras have been really good this season. And I kind of want to see the Cobras get a title just to shake things up, get a different champion in there for the National Arena League. And as you were mentioning, August 13th. So we have to wait 11 days for that championship game. So in 2 episodes, we will be talking about National Arena League champions.
Yeah, well, Albany's going to be hosting it. So, they've got all the advantages. I totally expect them to come out with another championship. Isn't it 3 years in a row they've been in the title game? It might be 3.
Might be. But I'm not
definitely they won it all last year.
But I'm going to, as much as I like the Empire, I'm going to put my claim on the Cobras. I think the Cobras will upset them for the win there. So we're both on opposite sides.
All right.
And that'll do it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. And probably a good call that it was a short scoreboard this week because we need to get to a lot of big stories in the NFL.
Yeah, we've been waiting for weeks and weeks to find out what's going to happen with Deshawn Watson, and that finally came out yesterday. And then today, another bombshell came out, another suspension. But let's start with Deshaun Watson. He's going to get a 6-game suspension. At least that's what the arbitrator suggested, and that's what I guess what the league is going to do.
A duly agreed upon person by both the league and Deshaun Watson's camp. So there's that. So,
yeah, neither side's going to contest this ruling. Everybody's going to accept it.
Probably not. I mean, it would be a bad look if one side or the other, well, we don't agree with you, even though we appointed you. Like, that's not going to be a good look.
They kept talking, the NFL wanted a year-long suspension for him, and then the talk was, well, it'll probably be an 8-game suspension for the season, and now that it finally comes out, it's only a 6-game suspension, and boy, it seems like not enough compared to some of the other suspensions people have gotten for other things.
That. Let's get some more details on what you got.
In her 16-page ruling.
Yeah, that's a lot of pages.
That's why it
How many pages did you read?
I didn't read any of this, but in her 16-page ruling, Judge Sue L. Robinson also said that Watson can only get massages from therapists on the Browns staff.
Oh, my God.
Now, I don't know if this is going to fly, if that's going to get contested itself or whatever, but, if she thought that highly that, this man was complicit in all the things that he's been accused of, then why wasn't a 6-game suspension? Wasn't more than a 6-game suspension? I don't know. I don't try to say that I know everything that's going on.
No, we weren't.
Looking at it from the outside.
Yep.
I thought it should be at least 8 games, if not a whole season.
We weren't there in the room with this, but what gets me is, and you're going to go through some more of the details here in a second. For me, I'm going to do what everybody on the internet is saying. How can you suspend a guy for a full season for gambling? For just $1,200, this dude gambled. That wasn't even on the team at the time. And he gets a full year. But then this guy, even if there is no convictions,
having 30 women
still come out, that's still a bad look. And to not at least, a year. That's it. Like, that's it. You're taking a year out.
Yeah.
Like, so instead you're going to give him 6 games, which is a slap in the face, I think, to like a guy. Like I said, they've suspended guys for smoking weed. You're out for a year. Oh, you gambled? You're out for a year. Oh, you beat your girlfriend? 2 games. What? 2 games. Or, oh, you the sexual 30 allegations? 6 games. And I know that that's not the NFL who came up with that ruling. It was this arbiter. But still, the fact that yes, you clearly thought something happened because you punished him 6 games. Right. So clearly there's something there. But the severity is what I think a lot of people are questioning because I keep hearing the term, and I hate bringing it up, but they come up with the term of non-violent sexual harassment, which is like sexual harassment is still sexual harassment, whether it is non-violent or not.
Right.
What are we even talking about here? So clearly this arbitrator knew that, well, this happened, but it wasn't violent, so we're going to only make it like, no. That's not how this should go. I'm definitely not happy with it. I think it's a slap in the face to the process, and I think I would have done a whole season. I'm sorry. It should have been a whole year or an indefinite suspension. Get things cleared up. Yes, there were no technical legal things against him, but that's still a black eye for the NFL. And man, oh man, I don't know.
There needs to be some sort of consistency.
There is none
in punishment in the NFL, and right now there is not.
Unless starting from here forward, they use an arbitrator to come up with these instead of the NFL randomly. Oh, Calvin Ridley's out for a year for gambling. Like, come on. Like, how is that even? You can't compare those two. Like, that's not even fair. A whole year while this guy's only going to get 6 games for that. I don't know. The NFL's punishment system has always been a case-by-case basis, which can be fine at points, but there are other times where it's like, no. You need some sort of guideline to where, beating your girlfriend shouldn't get you 2 games. It should get you a lifetime suspension or something, because we see there's going to be some other incident. Because what was it? Ben Roethlisberger got 6 games for one accuser on one random night, one incident. He got 6 games. There are 30 women who came out and talked about Deshaun Watson. And sure, in the arbitration process, I think the NFL only talked to 4. They only had 4 talk to the arbitrator or whatever is what came out. And that still only got him 6 games. So I don't see the consistency. I just want consistency. I don't agree with this ruling, but if this is what the arbitrator thinks, I mean, fine, whatever. I didn't read all 16 pages of the explanation, granted, but I'm one of the many people who are not happy with the outcome of this.
Yeah. Well, Watson stands to lose a mere $345,000
Chump change.
For the games that he's going to be missing, because that's without pay, of course. But have no fear. His almost $45 million signing bonus is not impacted by the suspension.
Of course it's not.
And he has fully guaranteed salaries of $46 million for each of the next 4 seasons. So losing $345,000, that's nothing. That's, again, a slap in the face for what he'd be losing from those games. He can return to the team and play quarterback as soon as October 23rd on the road against the Ravens. And like we said before, neither the NFL Players Union or the NFL plans to appeal this ruling.
Of course they don't.
So, yeah, that was. It took a long time to get here. 16-page ruling and all that.
I guess they have 3 days. If the NFL or Watson side want to appeal it, I think they got 3 days from the initial ruling. So we'll find out in a couple of days if something happens. And if we don't hear anything, then this is it. 6 games. And like you said, he can return against the Ravens, which, I'm sorry, that's a division game. That's going to be insane when he comes back. You know how ruthless those Ravens fans are going to be?
Oh, yeah.
Ruthless.
Yeah, that I'm sure that game will be a sellout. Everybody wanting to be there for that. All right, in some other news that happened just today.
Man, oh, man.
After a 6-month investigation, Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross is suspended by the NFL through October 17th and fined $1.5 million for violating the integrity of the game. Now, what does that mean? I'll get to that in a minute. The NFL also stripped the Dolphins of their 2023 first-round draft pick and a 2024 third-round pick. In 2019, the team made impermissible contact with Tom Brady about joining their team while he was still under contract with the Patriots. They did so again in 2021 when he was under contract with the Buccaneers, and they really wanted him to be their quarterback. The Dolphins also had impermissible contact with Coach Sean Payton's agent in 2022 about him becoming the Dolphins' head coach while he was still under contract to the Saints. The investigation also looked into allegations that the team intentionally lost games in 2019 to get a better draft pick for the 2022 draft. In that case, no evidence was found saying that they did that. That's pretty hard to prove, I think. But they selected quarterback Tua Tagovailoa with the 5th overall pick in the 2020 draft. Scott was rumored to have offered head coach Brian Flores $100,000 to lose games, but they couldn't prove it. And I guess Flores, I don't know if they interviewed him or he didn't back it up.
Yeah.
And I know he made that claim at first, and then he kind of backed off of it after a while. So who knows what's going on.
And on top of the owner, the vice chairman / limited partner, Bruce Beal, was also fined $500,000 and ordered not to attend any league meetings for the remainder of the 2022 season. Yeah. As reported by Adam Schefter.
Yeah. Stephen Ross can't do anything with the team.
Yeah.
He can't attend any league meetings, or he basically can't do a thing with the team or with the league for the time that he's suspended. So, and this just came out today. I mean, I remember when this was going on, but I had totally forgotten about it. I didn't know they were still doing an investigation. When that came out, I was like,
I remember the Dolphins did something, but I can't remember what it was. I had to keep racking my brain. Then the Brian Flores stuff started popping. I was like, oh yeah, duh. They thought they were taken, but then this whole Tom Brady and Sean Payton tampering was like a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
So goodness gracious.
But I guess the owner, even though he may not have done anything, he did suggest that maybe they should start losing some games to get a better draft pick. And just even saying that is like that's what they consider actions that are detrimental to the league or whatever. However they said that violating the integrity of the game is the way they put it. So yeah. Okay. Well, let's move away from that, too. I do have a little bit of a correction. Last week, we were talking about the new NFL Plus streaming service.
Yes.
And I kept referring to it as like a replacement for NFL All Access.
That's the NFL Network show.
I think I was thinking of the NFL Game Pass.
Yeah, that they have
that I had a brief, they have like a free trial, and I tried some of that. That's where you could get all the NFL Films contact. So I guess I was misspeaking about the All Access. It was NFL Game Pass. Is that replacing the Game Pass, or is the Game Pass still going to be out there?
As far as I could tell, I didn't see Game Pass anywhere. So
okay, all right. In other news this past week, that addendum that we talked about last week on Kyler Murray's contract, where they wanted him to spend 4 hours of independent study each week.
What a roller coaster this was.
That has been removed, ironically.
Boy, oh boy.
The team said they were catching so much flack that they just plain took it out.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Not that he wasn't already doing it. It was just, whatever.
Yeah.
Cardinals. But yeah, the fact that came out, everybody talked about it. Then it was a distraction to the team. Kyler Murray came out and talked about how it was a joke that people thought he didn't study even to begin with, which was probably true. He had to have studied. Come on, you don't play starting quarterback in the NFL without doing some level of preparation. And then, it just became such a distraction that they finally took it out. And then now that's a story again because of them taking it out.
Right.
So, boy, oh boy, what a roller coaster. And then on top of it, Kyler Murray tests positive for COVID.
Yeah.
So, what a week Kyler Murray's had.
He probably got it during that news conference when there was all the reporters there asking him about it. Somebody was sick and coughed on him or something.
Right.
But, oh my gosh, what a week Kyler Murray's having. I just, I'm sure every quarterback puts in a lot of work. And others, I'm sure, put in more than others do.
I'm sure. No, but not everybody's going to be Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. What is it, Peyton Manning?
That's like the gold standard. He spends so much time looking at film and all that.
Well, Pat McAfee talked about when Peyton was with Indianapolis and he went over to Peyton's house one time. Peyton set up a film room right next to his own. It was like between his bedroom and his living room. So like he legit could just watch film all the time. He talked about how he'd call the offensive coordinator at 3 a.m. because he'd just wake up and just start watching film. So like there are going to be your Peyton Manning types who go in there and just put ungodly amounts of.
And you got to figure Tom Brady's doing about the same thing.
Tom Brady's probably doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you don't have to do that. But I mean, you can't argue with Tom Brady's success by doing that. But I'm sure there's got to be a limit to where some of these guys are like, yeah, I get up early, I watch maybe a couple hours of film, then I go to the facility and do whatever. Maybe some guys do a little more than others. Maybe some guys are like, you know what, I watch a little bit, I kind of get the gist of what they're about. I go in, we figure out the game plan with the coaches. I let the coaches figure some of that out, and then I study what I need to study, and not just like such a broad spectrum that maybe some of it you don't have to watch. It's utterly fascinating. I think it's a fascinating process to have to go through, but yeah, it's like with anything. Like I could study 20 minutes for a chem test while you could study 3 hours. I mean, some guys might need it more than others.
Right.
Some people are studiers and some are not.
Yep.
I mean, so
everybody's different. I don't know.
But to play quarterback in the NFL, you have to do some level of it. We're just saying.
And Kyler Murray has had success.
He's been great.
He's a good quarterback. I just don't know if he's Super Bowl material, but he's still a good quarterback.
I think he's so talented, and I mean, everybody's going to dog on him for his height, but I'm like, no. I'm done. I'm done with the height stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
He can still slant. He still makes some iffy decisions. There was a couple in that Lions game we saw firsthand. It was like, why would you throw that pass there? Why? And so, hey, he's still only a few years into the league.
Right.
So cut the kid some slack, and I think he's awesome. I think he's phenomenal.
Okay.
Speaking of phenomenal,
wide receiver DK Metcalf agrees to a 3-year, $72 million contract extension with Seattle. $58.2 million is guaranteed, with a $30 million signing bonus. He was a second-round pick by Seattle in 2019 out of Mississippi.
What a beast this dude is. But the only thing I'm going to say is, who's throwing him the stinking ball? They ain't got nobody throwing him the stinking ball now, but they can pay him.
Yeah, well, he got paid thanks to Russell Wilson.
Wilson leaving.
So now we'll see if he can still
Drew
keep it
Lock
up when somebody else is.
Everybody's dogpiling on Drew Lock, but man, I'm curious what the Seattle quarterback situation is going to look like when the season rolls around.
That's a lot of money for a guy that's only been in the league, a
couple years,
couple seasons.
I think he's proven that he's a freak athlete who can make the plays. He was the guy who ran down that Cardinals player. Remember on the long interception return? He's the one who chased down that Cardinals player and saved that touchdown play. So he's a freak athlete. The dude works out. He's a weirdo off the field. I'll give him that. But shoot, I mean, in a league where you got to pay some of these playmakers, I mean, this is the trend. You got to pay your freakish, either big wide receivers or your freakish fast wide receivers, as we're about to talk about another guy who's gotten paid.
Yeah, speaking of paying your wide receivers, wide receiver Debo Samuels signs a 3-year, $71.55 million contract extension with the 49ers. $58.1 million is guaranteed. He was a second-round pick in 2019 out of South Carolina. So this is almost exactly the same deal. They both get 3-year contracts.
Yep.
They were both drafted in 2019.
Yep.
One got a $72 million contract. The other one, $71.55.
Yes, Debo got a little bit less than Metcalf, but I wonder if that, Metcalf is the bigger name, but Samuel had such a great year last year. I think Samuel deserved a little more because he was doing the running back stuff. He was doing the wide receiver stuff. He was a weapon. He did everything for San Francisco pretty much last year. And the dude put his body on the line because, you're not just going out there catching passes. You're running some running back plays where your body's going to be, beat up by some linemen here and there. So, hey, get paid, guys. when you're a young player like this, and I think at Debo especially, doing what you do, get paid because you could take a freak hit at any point the way that they use him. And I don't know if they're going to tweak how they use him. I know that was a big thing during the offseason, like him being upset with how he's used. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, I like seeing guys get paid. They deserved it. So
yeah, and then the guaranteed portions were almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
Metcalf's getting $58.2 million guaranteed. Samuel's $58.1.
So clearly you're seeing there that the market values Metcalf a little bit more than Samuel, but just by a smidge, not by a lot. That's the very small margin. Half a mil in your basic contract, and then only $100,000 in guaranteed. So they virtually are considered like the same level of talent.
Right.
So
and I find it interesting. Metcalf went to college at Mississippi. Samuels went to South Carolina. These aren't the guys that are playing for Georgia or Alabama or Notre Dame or Michigan. Yeah, that's where all the big name receivers and whatnot come from. But Mississippi and South Carolina.
Welcome to the NFL, where that's where these guys shine. Like, hey, you might not have been a big recognizable name in college, but once you get discovered, once these organizations filter through all that tape and they find these dudes who are just great players individually and know that they can become a part of a bigger whole in their football team. You're going to see like Western Michigan. We're hoping Sky Moore with Kansas City will be a name that everybody in the league is going to talk about. I think they will. Sky Moore is going to be a league name, and he's from Western Michigan. Look at what happened with Corey Davis. Corey Davis is a name. Not that he's been the best receiver in the league, but he's a name.
Yep.
And he came from Western Michigan. Back when Greg Jennings came from Western Michigan, big name in the NFL. Great receiver for a few years there. So you're going to see more and more of these. Jerry Rice went to a small school.
He
you don't have to go to a big name school.
Yeah.
To make it in the NFL.
Well, I say congratulations to the scouting departments that found these guys that weren't looking at just the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC teams. They went to some of these other schools and
those are the unsung heroes of the NFL. Are these dudes dudes and ladies who go out there and find these gems or find some of these guys that went to some of the smaller colleges. Like, hey, maybe we should take a look at this guy from Western Michigan. Hey, maybe we should go look at this kid from Southeastern Western Texas Tech University of Ohio. Just it's amazing the work that these guys put in, and we don't talk about them. They're the unsung heroes of what eventually becomes the product we love to see on Sundays.
Yeah, but we got to watch Corey Davis for a few years. We got to watch Sky Moore for a couple of years.
Oh, Sky Moore!
I was so upset because he was like a sophomore when.
I know. We could have had a couple more years.
Come on, man, stay here for another couple of years. You're good. We need you.
But hey, I'm rooting for Sky Moore, man. I'm hoping him and Patrick Mahomes become best friends.
I've told you this before. How the NFL Network's always got those, the top 10 this, the top 10 that. Well, they had one a few years ago that was the top 10 football factories for the NFL. They talk about like Georgia. So many players come from Georgia and Notre Dame and this and that. Well, at number 10 on this list was the MAC Conference, the Mid-America Conference, where Western Michigan, Akron, Northern Illinois, Miami, Ohio. There's so many great NFL players have come from the MAC Conference that they actually made number 10 on that list on NFL Network. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, let's move on. We got one more story in the NFL news department. Washington Commanders announced that tight end Antonio Gandy Golden, a fourth-round pick by the team in the 2020 draft out of Liberty, is retiring at the age of 24. He's returning to school to pursue a degree in graphic design. He had put on 27 pounds this past offseason to convert from a wide receiver to the tight end position, but he never really got much playing time the 2 previous years. So, if he knew he wanted to retire, why did he, put on the weight to play tight end? And then he gets gets into camp and decides, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore. He didn't get a whole lot of playing time, so maybe that was part of his decision. Maybe his heart just wasn't in it, and graphic design was where it was at, so he wanted to go back to school and do that. So, hey, excuse me. So many times we hear about players leaving the game because of
health-related stuff.
Neck injuries, leg injury, bad back, whatever. They're forced out of the game. This guy is just deciding, you know what? I've spent all this time working for the team, and I'm not really playing that much, and who knows what my future is going to be. So I'm just going to pack it in. So good luck in the future. Hope you become a great graphic designer. I've never heard of this guy though, Antonio Gandy Golden.
Yeah.
He's not I don't know how much he played, but it wasn't a whole lot. Okay, moving on. Arena football.
You need to take some water. You're clearly about to.
I think I'm
lose
okay.
your voice a little bit.
I think I'm okay. Let's see. Arena Football TV on YouTube. They posted a 1992 game between the Cincinnati Rockers and the Albany Firebirds. This game was originally broadcast on ESPN. The cool thing about this game was that quarterback Art Schlichter was the quarterback for Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Rockers. You probably don't remember Art Schlichter, but he was
sounds familiar.
He played for the Baltimore Colts or the Indianapolis. I guess it was still Baltimore Colts back in the day, and he was doing a good job, but he had a gambling problem, and he got suspended by the league. He spent some time in prison, and so he was kind of making a comeback with the Arena Football League, and so if you want to see Art Schlichter playing arena football, then check out this game from 1992, which was released in the past week. Okay, today's birthdays. August 2nd, the birthday of Lamar Hunt, born on this day in 1932. He passed away in 2006 at the age of 74. The founder of the American Football League in 1960. Also the owner of the Dallas Texans, which later became the Kansas City Chiefs. An odd fact here, his wife, Norma, has been to every single Super Bowl ever played. I just think that's a phenomenal bit of trivia there. And you and I have been to Lamar Hunt's grave down in Dallas. He and Tom Landry
are spot.
Buried in the same cemetery and not too far away from one another. So that was awesome to go down there and pay our respects to both of those gentlemen when we were there a few years ago for the Cotton Bowl, where Western Michigan played Wisconsin. That was a great trip and just a really good time. Just wish Western would have won. They had their chance at the end, but came up a little bit short. All right, the other birthday today is that of halfback Billy Cannon. Born on this date in 1937, and he died in 2018 at the age of 80. He played college football at LSU and won the Heisman Trophy in 1959. Cannon signed contracts to play for the LA Rams in 1960 as well as the AFL's Houston Oilers. His situation ended up in federal court, and a judge there invalidated his 3-year contract, $50,000 contract, that he had secretly signed with Pete Rozelle, who was the Rams general manager at the time. You talk about scandals and talking to players you're not supposed to talk. Here's a scandal back in 1960 where Pete Rozelle, general manager, secretly goes and signs the guy because they didn't want him going to that rival AFL league. So they did something a little underhanded. Went to court. Judge said, "No, what you did was wrong." But the ruling made Cannon an Oiler, and they had a 4-year contract for him for $110,000. So he made twice as much by going to court and getting the one nullified. So he played for the Oilers from 1960 to 1963. He went on to play for the Oakland Raiders from 64 to 69, and he finished his career with the Kansas City Chiefs in 1970. He was elected to the College Football Hall of Fame in 1983, but soon after, he was linked to an operation that had printed almost $5 million in counterfeit bills. He pleaded guilty to one charge of conspiracy and possession of counterfeit $100 bills. 4 days after he pleaded guilty, the Hall of Fame denied him induction into the Hall of Fame, but Cannon was eventually reelected to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2008. Wow, what a wild story.
Yeah, that's nuts. That could have been a history lesson.
Yeah, well, maybe it will be.
You're getting 2 for 1 this week, everybody.
But that was, I knew some of that, but I didn't know all the details until I was doing a little research on him for his birthday today.
All right, now we're going to move on to some obituaries. I'm going to take over because you look like you need to rest
right,
up
go
and
ahead.
take some water.
Go ahead.
This is the portion of the show where we like to take a moment to honor those who have made the world of football a better place. And we start with our first obituary, which is that of William White, a defensive back in the NFL for 11 seasons, has passed away at the age of 54 from complications of ALS. White played college football at Ohio State and was selected in the 4th round of the 1988 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions. He played for the Lions from 1988 to 1993 and went on to play for the Kansas City Chiefs from 1994 to 1996 and the Atlanta Falcons from 1997 to 1998.
I remember William White very well. He was a great defensive back on our team.
I've seen a lot of former Lions talking about him. I was only 4 years old his last season in Detroit, so I don't remember that much.
Do you remember when Chris Spielman was added to the Lions
Ring of Honor?
Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
or the Pride of the Lions, they called it?
Yeah.
He had William White there with him.
Okay, yeah.
And,
I've
you
seen
know,
the pictures.
Yeah, it was a very emotional moment. They were great friends when they were players, and, he was suffering from ALS, but he still got up and he introduced Spielman
Yeah.
for his induction, and you could just tell these two guys were great friends, great buddies. Oh, very emotional moment there.
All right, sit back and keep resting that voice of yours because I'll do this. I'll do the second and final obituary we got
Okay.
this week, which is Wayne Hawkins, an offensive guard in the American Football League for 10 seasons, has passed away at the age of 84. Hawkins played college football at the College of the Pacific and signed as an undrafted free agent with the Oakland Raiders in 1960. He played his entire career with the Raiders from 1960 to 1969 and won an AFL title with the team in 1967. He played in Super Bowl II against the Green Bay Packers. So another great career for a guy. I mean,
Yeah, undrafted. I love to hear those
Undrafted.
stories. An undrafted free agent comes
What is
in
it,
and
the-
has a
the
10-year career.
the odds are usually in favor of
Yes.
a lot of these guys being unsigned,
Right.
undrafted dudes.
You maybe sign.
That is-
you
that
get
is
cut
the-
in training camp. Or you spend a season or two.
That is the I won't say the backbone, but that is the blood of the NFL is the undrafted guys. The backbone are the the big name high draft pick guys.
Yep.
That's the backbone, but everything else it's the undrafted guys which fill in all those gaps there. So
Yep.
another member of the football world that we will sadly miss. And with that, we're going to transition, as Randy, I'm going to keep letting you rest your voice a little bit, as we go into this week's history lesson. And according to you, this is the birth of the quarterback play wristband in the NFL.
Today, it is common to see even seasoned quarterbacks using a wristband with the plays on it during an NFL game. It dates back to 1965, when a running back was pressed into service at quarterback, and the wristband is still in use in the NFL today. Tom Maddie was a quarterback when he played college football at Ohio State. He was the 7th overall pick in the 1961 NFL Draft by the Baltimore Colts, and was also selected in the 5th round of the 1961 AFL Draft by the New York Titans. The Colts already had future Hall of Fame quarterback Johnny Unitas on the team, so Maddie was moved to the running back position. Towards the end of the 1965 season, Unitas suffered an injury, and so did his backup quarterback, Gary Cuozzo. Knowing that Maddie had played quarterback in college, Colts head coach Don Shula called upon him to fill in at quarterback. Shula came up with the idea of putting the plays on a wristband for Maddie in order to make it easier for him to call plays in the huddle. Maddie played quarterback in the last 2 games of the 1965 regular season, a loss to the Green Bay Packers and a win over the Los Angeles Rams. He also played quarterback in a divisional playoff game against the Packers that Baltimore lost in overtime 13-10. During those 3 games, Maddie continued to wear his running back number, 41. After the season, the Colts played the Cowboys in the Playoff Bowl in Miami. Maddie threw for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns in a 35-3 win. It was the last game he ever played at quarterback. Maddie played his entire 12-year career with the Colts from 1961 to 1972. He was a member of the Colts team that won Super Bowl V in 1971 and went on to be a color analyst for the Baltimore Ravens radio broadcasts from 1996 to 2005. Tom Maddie died on November 2, 2021, at the age of 82. And just in case you were wondering whatever became of that wristband, It now resides at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
So we've probably walked by this wristband many times, and I just didn't think twice about it.
Yeah, I'm always looking for Tom Dempsey's shoe, which I guess they don't have there anymore. It's part of a traveling exhibit.
Yeah.
So, but that was always the first thing I always went to go see was Tom Dempsey's shoe in a glass case. I knew right where it was, and it's not there anymore. Maybe that's where the wristband is now. I'm not sure. Or maybe that's part of the traveling exhibit also.
There's just so much there. They do they do the things you see at like the natural history museums where you just get some headphones and you just walk around and it's like a audio tour?
I don't think so.
They should. You should narrate that,
But
Randy. You do that so well.
They probably got so many things that aren't on display. I mean, they probably got a warehouse with all kinds of stuff.
They could open a whole second Hall of Fame like building exactly the same size and still not fit all the NFL history stuff they got probably. So, but hey, I saw that you posted something about the construction going along for the Hall of Fame village.
We saw some of the buildings that were
working
half
on it. I'm
completed.
excited. I can't wait for that village to get done.
But the bottom line for this article is that they're still struggling to finance it all. Jeez. It's like they're running out of money or whatever. It sounds like it's going to be really cool once they get it done.
I'm telling you, open up a Calvin Johnson weed shop down there somewhere, and the people will come in and pay.
I'm looking more forward to the Don Shula Steakhouse that's going to be there. I mean, if you
if you got a Don Shula Steakhouse, you got a Billy Sims barbecue. Who's that player? Who's that player you saw out in Carolina? Another former Detroit Lion that's got a. It's not a Lomas Brown. Who is it that's got a restaurant that you went out and saw?
He recently passed away. Roger Brown.
Roger Brown. You go get whatever that restaurant that the Packers got up there.
The Vince Lombardi Steakhouse.
The Vince Lombardi Steakhouse.
That was the best steak I have ever had. Was at the Vince Lombardi Steakhouse.
You load up, a bunch of those great themed restaurants around there. I'm telling you, you'll kill it. Oh man.
Yeah, I would stop by there. Not
for
even
a Billy Sims barbecue.
Not even to go into the Hall of Fame, but just to eat at the Don Shula Steakhouse.
I'd love to go to a Don Shula Steakhouse.
That would be so good.
Oh.
All right, let's move on here. Upcoming events calendar. This Thursday, August 4th, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in Canton, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Las Vegas Raiders.
I can't believe NFL football's back in a couple days. I know it's just preseason, and I hate preseason, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again, but I'll watch 10 minutes of this and be like, God, this is awful. Yeah, and then I'll be good for 3 weeks.
I just like to watch the opening kickoff, and the rest of it I can care less.
A couple of drives, but I don't think they're going to play anybody of note in this game. Right. Like you're not going to see. I don't think you'll see Trevor Lawrence. Maybe like one series, maybe
could be
Trevor Lawrence, and then I'd like to kind of see Devontae Adams with the Raiders, but I doubt they'll even make him play. So I bet you a lot of the starters sit out for this first game. So.
Yeah, but before that happens, that same day, August 4th, that Thursday, this coming Thursday, you and I are going to be going to the Detroit Lions training camp and checking that out.
When is that? That runs from like 8:30 in the morning.
Yes.
When does that usually get done? Like 11?
About noon or so.
It doesn't go that long, does it?
Well, I don't know. It's probably 2.5 hour, maybe 11:30.
Okay.
But
because we'll be back in time for me to.
But yeah, it starts at 8:30. The gates open at 7:30. So in order for us to be there at 7:30, we're going to have to leave Kalamazoo at about 5:30 in the morning because it's about a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be an early morning, but then we come home from that and we get to sit back and watch the Pro Football Hall of Fame game. From Canton.
You get to. I'm gonna go see a movie that afternoon. That's why we need to get back. Got a big movie premiere that afternoon to go to.
Oh God!
Then I can watch football that night. So it'll be a nice packed day for moi.
Okay. And then Tuesday, August 9th, Major League Football's inaugural season begins.
Again, I don't think this is real.
Yeah, I don't know.
We are literally a week out, and I have nothing. I know nothing.
Yep. I don't. I mean, I follow him on Twitter, but I don't see any tweets being put out and whatever. So, and then the same day there, August 9th, HBO's Hard Knocks premieres featuring the Detroit Lions.
Yes, it does. And we will be doing, and we've kind of talked a little bit. I know you were surprised last week that I brought it up, but we've been talking. We will do the next day. We will do a specific Hard Knocks kind of in review kind of thing. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll do all of them. Maybe we'll just do the one and see how we feel about it.
Yeah.
But we usually, it was like the same thing with the score, with us predicting games last year. Like it was originally in the podcast, but now we're just going to take that segment out because we were always a week behind anyway.
Right,
so,
yeah.
So I think doing a side video every week will be fun for us to do for the 4 or 5 episodes that got planned.
We spend 15-20 minutes talking about the episode from the night before, what we liked, what we didn't like.
Yep. And I'll have fun putting that together, but that'll come out Wednesdays, and we'll remind everybody next week. because I definitely can't stay up that late to watch watch it premiere. But you bet your butt you can watch it a couple times during the day, and I can finally watch it that afternoon, and then we can get together.
I'll probably wait till the afternoon when you get home from work, and then we'll just watch it together. I'll make some notes, and while it's still fresh in our minds, we'll jump in front of the microphones or the cameras and record.
Yep, we'll figure it out. So I'm excited about putting that together.
Okay, so then on Saturday, August 13th, 2 indoor football championship games. The Indoor Football Championship between Quad City and Northern Arizona. That's going to take place in Las Vegas. And then the same day, or same evening probably, the National Arena League Championship game. The Carolina Cobras travel to the Albany Empire for their championship game. And then, let's see, August 16th, Tuesday, August 16th, our 5th anniversary show.
Wow, we've been doing this for half a decade.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Episode 257. We plan to do some highlights from the past. I have many clips that I need to
that's all on you.
pull out. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll pull those audio clips out of some of our shows, some faux pas on both our parts. And
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no faux pas on my part. My faux pas are clean. I don't know what you're talking about.
So if you don't listen to very many of our shows throughout the course of the year, please listen to the anniversary shows, because every anniversary show we put many highlights from the previous year. So you're going to hear stuff in one place that you haven't heard in a long time. So check out our 5th anniversary show in 2 weeks on August 16th. And then finally on our upcoming events calendar, Thursday, September 2nd, the NFL regular season
Thursday,
kicks off.
September 8th, not the 2nd.
Oh, September 8th. NFL regular season begins with a game, the Buffalo Bills at the LA Rams, and we're off and running for another season.
And speaking of the Rams, I don't know if you saw this story. Did you see that the Rams downgraded their bone uniforms to their alternates now?
Mm-mm.
Oh, thank God they did. They're going to only wear them for 2 games this upcoming season.
Good, yeah.
Those alternate white uniforms they only wore 3 times, and during the Super Bowl last year have been promoted to a regular uniform. So finally the Rams do something right after winning the Super Bowl in them.
Now they need to ditch their new helmet and go back to the original helmet.
I know, their new helmet's growing on me, but I do wish they'd go back to that classic look, and maybe they'll even throw that in next year for their alternate helmets. So we'll see.
Okay. Anything else? Boy, this has been... Everything happens on Tuesdays. You know? But
then I'm telling you, just like last week, something will happen as soon as we turn the microphones off.
That's
what
true.
What was it last week? Something happened that literally right after we hit the stop button.
I don't remember what it was, but yeah, something happened, and it'll probably happen again today.
Maybe was it somebody else retiring, or I can't remember.
Well, if it happened right after the show, we should have done it on today's show. So
yeah, that's one. Well, you're usually really bad about getting it right away, so I don't think it made it into the show, whatever it was. You're bad at that. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. 5 years, that's one thing you could work on. So.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Your your mantra should always be working on this podcast.
It seems like that's all I do now.
It does.
I don't do it.
You put a lot of work into it. That's one thing. I know. I just come in and I just turn on a microphone and I just talk out my butt.
Yeah, I do all the prep.
You do a lot. You put a lot of work into this, but I do a lot of work on our YouTube stuff whenever we need to do stuff.
Yes.
We're still working on that, making that a better place. And hey, we crossed the 30 subscriber threshold on YouTube, which is great. So I'm happy about that.
Plus, yesterday I finally posted an article on another grave visit, number 34, the grave of Neil Worthington Snow. No relation.
No relation.
That I know of anyway. My brother Bob has done
Breaking
a lot
news,
of,
we have 31 subscribers on YouTube.
Cool. He's done a lot of work on our family genealogy. He's tracked our Snow family back to before 1776. I mean, a lot of our relatives came from Pennsylvania, but as far as I know, we're not related to Neil Snow. But he was the MVP of the 1902 Rose Bowl, and he's buried in Detroit, so I went and visited his grave. And I've got another one coming out in a few days. I won't spoil it, but we did do another one. Abram and I went, and it was a 14-hour trip, round trip, to go get a couple of pictures at a grave and come home. So that'll be coming out in the next day or so.
All right.
So if nothing else is
else
out there,
I
then
think we're good.
That's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like the World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also follow our Twitter account, which is the same address, at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this very podcast are posted every Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and you can find the full audio versions of the podcast on YouTube. That is the World of Football Kalamazoo. If you're searching for us there, we still can't put a cool URL to that yet. We need to get 100 subscribers, I think, before we can do that. So we're almost there. 70 more. So please subscribe, rate, review. Let us know what you think. Go give Randy's video about books a big thumbs up and another view. Yeah. Leave some comments, guys. We always appreciate the feedback. Let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all next week.